Because like we've been talking this entire show, retirement strategies are different from the strategies that get you to retirement. It is about withdrawing income from your investments.
That's right. Hello, welcome back to Retire Yesterday, Live Today. This is John Convery with Michael again. Welcome back. We're so excited to see you. We've been bringing to you ideas regarding retirement planning for a number of weeks now. Hopefully you've found some golden nuggets. And today, I think Michael has some questions from our audiences, one or more, either of our radio broadcast or persons that have come into the office that really want to get specific questions answered. So I'm going to throw it over to Michael and let's see if he can stump the stumper.
Yes, we got a good show lined up. Notice I'm wearing normal jeans today, so nobody has to think I'm poor anymore. Yes, the nice threads are on, and we're going to do a little bit of a Q&A so you can learn a little bit more about John today, as well as retirement strategies, because we want to educate you as well as entertain you as well as we can each and every week. If you like the show, make sure to tune in next Monday because they're coming out every Monday, and just like it below so we know you're enjoying it, because we like making this as much as we can for you, so we hope you enjoy it too. We're going to roll into the show. I want to ask you a number one question because a lot of people ask this, especially in South Florida lately, and that is, how long have you been working with pre- and post-retirees, helping them plan for their retirement?
Over 30 years, Mike. It goes back. I've got a long heritage in doing that. It's always been my passion. I think my dad was an educator in foreign languages up in Wall Township High School, New Jersey. So probably I got a little bit of his strand of DNA as far as loving to teach people. Now the difference is he taught high school students who didn't know really what their future was going to be, but we like to work with folks that are at or near retirement to really help them thrive in retirement, not just survive.
Yes, 30 years. That is a long time. And I know some people do ask, how long has that been in South Florida? Because we transitioned here when I was a little bit younger. So you've been doing this in South Florida now, Dad?
Well, 15 years.
So 15
We've been
years.
Full-time residents of Wellington, the equestrian area. That's where Michael and his younger brother Jonah. And incidentally, people ask, why did we name him Jonah? Well, it's very simple. My wife and Arlene figured there'd be at least 3 days during his youthful life that we'd hope he'd be swallowed up by a whale or a big fish. Hasn't happened yet. We're still praying for that. Praying for that.
For me, I'm praying for it each and every day. Now, I know
brotherly love.
Exactly, brotherly love. I know we talk about the retirement red zone. It's something you like to talk about. It's a great analogy to use, especially for people that love football or the Miami Dolphins. So what is really the retirement red zone, and when is the time that it is no longer about accumulation and more about distribution, really starting to plan for your retirement? Because the strategies that get you to retirement
aren't going to get you through.
Exactly.
Well, Mike, it's a great question, and I don't think there's a specific age necessarily, because people retire and have dreams of retiring at different points in life. Some want to retire at 55, others 65 or 70, so they can optimize through the 8% increases their Social Security benefit. But let me say what's kind of a standard here. If you're within 3 to 5 years of retirement, it's what we call the retirement red zone. Just like Peyton Manning would call the audible at the line of scrimmage. If he's on the 13-yard line getting ready to score against the Seattle Seahawks, he cannot go to the line of scrimmage and call the 40-yard pass. He'd throw it out of the end zone. So at the end of the day, his playbook becomes more limited as to what he can do. You know, if he can do a short button hook pattern, or maybe a pitch out to the halfback, whatever the case may be. It is so with your retirement planning. When you're within 3 to 5 years, the red zone, all of a sudden the shift is away from growth with volatility and a lot of risk into preservation of principal. You still got to grow your money enough as a hedge to beat inflation, otherwise you die the death of 1,000 cuts. And you have to start to create and cultivate streams of income, because it's income and the quality of your cash flow is going to determine the quality of your retirement life.
Yes, cash flow is king in retirement. It is no longer about accumulation, because if you don't have cash to cover the non-negotiable expenses, you are not going to be able to sleep well at night. So let's segue into the third question, and that's one way to create cash flow, is how can someone diversify against the risk of the market once they're closer to retirement, but to potentially still reap some rewards and have some predictability so they can sleep well at night?
As far as income, exactly. Well, it's what we call swan, right? That elegant swan, just like sliding over, gliding on glass. But there's a lot of that swan, what do we call that? Sleep well at night. SWAN. There's an acronym, sleep well at night. You know, a peaceful night's sleep is something that I hope and trust for all of you. But at the end of the day, market volatility can really create a lot of anxiety and make you feel like, boy, you know, is this market frothy? Is it going to fall apart? When you get into that retirement red zone, you've got to start to think about, how do I diversify away from the traditional asset classes? In my opinion, for instance, most people diversify in the stocks or bonds under the theory that they'll never go down at the same time, until they did in 2008 during the great unprecedented.
Never.
Never say never. Everything fell like dominoes after the helium bubble and housing burst, and everything toppled on down, including stocks and Barclays aggregate and the bond indexes. Non-correlation, though, that's a word I'd like you to remember and maybe even write it down. Non-correlation means investments that are not necessarily correlated to move in lockstep with the stock market.
Put it right there on the screen for you.
Bingo.
Non-correlation.
Yeah. Now listen, this is just an example, not a recommendation, but for instance, real estate. Real estate has a longer-term build-out, permitting and build-out cycle, and can produce long-term net revenue or net operating income from cash flows due to rent receipts being received, depreciation allowances, and certain real estate investment trusts tied to the healthcare sector and things of that nature, or data centers which back up cloud computing. These are very, very hot right now, and some pay very predictable income, a very nice rate of distribution, and that income can be predictable and consistent whether the stock market goes up or down. It's kind of a proxy or an alternative to a traditional bond portfolio, because bonds yield so little as to make it untenable for many people. They can't get enough yield for retirement income out of a traditional bond portfolio.
Yes, we are going to segue into question number 4, but remember that. Non-correlation.
Non-correlation.
It's right there for you. Write it down. Remember it. And I want to roll into question number 4, because everybody, or at least hopefully everybody, has an IRA.
That's right.
And that means everybody's going to have, at some point, distributions from their IRA. So for the people that are concerned about distributions, what can they do to avoid them or take advantage of them?
Yes, an amazing number for you. $21 trillion is the aggregate investment wealth and prosperity of the American patriot, American society. And $5.67 trillion is in individual retirement accounts, IRAs. Many people say,
wow,
John, I'm going to have to take money at 70 and a half, and even if I don't need it, am I going to have to take it? You are, because IRAs, you were incentivized to save money and grow it tax deferred, get compounding of your money, triple compounding. Your interest accumulates on your principal, your interest accumulates on your interest, and your interest accumulates on money you do not have to pay the IRS in federal income taxes. Powerful leverage, powerful combination. But the Achilles heel is at 70 and a half. Even if you may be in a higher tax bracket, you have to start to harvest the income. It's required based on your life expectancy. If you want to get ahead of the curve and you don't want to pay an onerous tax down the road, maybe, just maybe, if you're 63 to 68 or 9, if you're in the sweet spot and eligible, you might be able to do a strategic conversion from a traditional IRA into a Roth, pay very little in tax, and have your income and the inheritance go to your family tax-free forever. That can be a brilliant way to take care of tax efficiencies by doing a conversion to a Roth. It doesn't work for everybody, but if you have the right fact pattern, the right circumstances, it may be perfect for you.
Yes, you heard it here. You heard it first. Make sure you take a lot of information and knowledge from question number 4, because everybody has IRAs. Everybody's going to have distributions from IRAs. You want to make sure you play the right way. We got one more question for you, John, and that is, how much can people safely withdraw from their investments once they hit retirement? Because like we've been talking this entire show, retirement strategies are different from the strategies that get you to retirement. It is about withdrawing income from your investments.
That's right. It used to be the safe money withdrawal rate was 4% based on a 50-50 diversification between stocks and bonds. But that's largely been discredited. Even a number of years back, I remember in the Wall Street Journal, there was an article that said, say goodbye to the 4% rule, because it is not sustainable. So therefore, people have to look at different asset classes. If you're in a stock and bond portfolio, I think what is being promulgated out in the marketplaces now now in the public domain is 2.8%.
Wow.
But for many of you, that's not going to be enough income based on the size of your portfolio. That is why you really need to look at different asset classes, not just stocks and bonds. There are other asset classes, and we'll help you explore what they are. There's also alternatives that don't necessarily have market risk, where your money can be guaranteed by the claims paying ability of a financial institution, and you can derive the opportunity in circumstance to beat inflation, but also get a high quality cash flow, kind of like a pension, but without giving up your asset. The asset that you own still is part of your legacy, your balance sheet, and can be left as an inheritance to your beneficiaries or contingent beneficiaries. So a lot of things that can be done here, but again, it really starts with looking at the landscape called your financial life and getting a map of where you are, looking at your risk tolerance. How far away are you from retirement? Are you in the red zone? 3 to 5 years, all of a sudden, remember, Peyton Manning can't call the long pass, the 40-yard pass, if he's on the 3-yard line getting ready to score against the Seattle Seahawks. So at the end of the day, these are all things that we look at in our complete planning review. CPR for your finances, folks, and it's something that we want to encourage you to take advantage of when you're ready, because education is key here, and we're a forum for that. But at the end of the day, there's a little bit of a bridge between getting broad education and bridging that into a blueprint or an actionable plan that can help you go forth with confidence.
Yes, John is absolutely right. If you like questions and answers, this was the first time we're doing this format. If you have questions or answers that you'd like to see answered on the show, just start commenting them below, and you might see your name and your question pop up on next week's show. I'm going to let John close out this week's show. Remember, next week we'll be back Monday. This is Retire Yesterday. Live today. Tune in for the tip of the week. Tune in for the tip of the week 3 days from now, and I will see you next Monday.
And great to be with you, Mike. Great to be with you. Good show. And folks, I always like to say in the paraphrase of the old Irish prayer, may the wind be gently at your back. May the sun shine warmly on your face. May the low road you travel, my friend, rise up to meet the high road. And until our paths meet again, may you be anointed with good health. May God anoint you and richly bless you, and have a magnificent day. Goodbye now.